Good evening, everybody, and welcome to it. It is a Monday night occasion where we reflect on what's been happening as far as South African football is concerned. As you know, it has been quiet on the team front, with the national teams obviously taking center stage, it being a qualifying time of year. And Bafana Bafana are up and running, having acquired now 4 points in their two games, one on the road. So they got the draw, that's always essential, and they got the victory at home. They huffed and they puffed, but to credit Hugo Bruce and his men, they never gave up. They just kept on going, even after the disallowed goals, which were not offside, adjudged to be offside, all those things. Even the moments where the goal was wide open, you thought these might take a mental toll on the young squad, but they didn't. Instead, they did hold their resolve and managed to beat the Black Stars, albeit a weakened side, 1-0 on the day. But I don't think that they were much of a threat, to be honest, Ghana. Not their usual selves, and maybe, just maybe, that worked into our hands. I'm not alone this evening. Joining me, I've got Brighton Mhlongo, and I've also got Timothy Batabayer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight to discuss what's been happening with the new Hugo Bruce Bafana Bafana. And let's start, Brighton. I mean, obviously much will have been made about the captain being a goalkeeper, Ronwen. I guess over the two legs, you can say that he will face some tougher tests further ahead, and maybe not in the last 72 hours.
No, thanks for having us, Gamza, and obviously good evening to our viewers as well. I'll just get into it right away. I was very impressed by Ronwen Williams, especially the first leg when he played Zimbabwe away. I mean, he made some crucial saves and he looked very stable and solid, even though obviously he didn't get to be tested that much. But I mean, whenever he was called upon, he rose to the occasion, so it was very impressive. I mean, and I know most people would say, hey, is this the same guy who was singing a different tune last week about the same team? But yeah, well, we still have a long way to go. Much as we've acquired those points, we still have a long way to go. But at the end of the day, we can take the points any day, So, yeah, well, I'll give it to Ron. I think he did very well. It was very impressive.
There we go. And as a defender yourself, Mr. Batabayer, what do you make of the two clean sheets? Some will say that maybe that pairing of Daruk and Kulu not really looking that convincing in the first game, but I think they seem to have something kind of going, or there's more of a relationship developing in this evening's game. What did you make of the defensive resolve of Bafana Bafana?
I think I was very impressed with the defensive pairing, and by defensive pairing, I'm looking at Bafana Bafana. After a long time, I'm seeing the defensive pairing starting right up from the front. The pressing down on the likes of Johnson Mensah, not giving them that comfort to play from the back. Once they did that right, it made the likes of Kulu, to come out very nicely. It gave a chance to likes of Morena to have to be adventurous, to go up. I don't believe into the notion that Ghana has given us their weakest side. That's the best side they have got. Out of the million people they have got in Ghana, that's the best they have got. And today they have lost the game to Bafana Bafana. I would like to say kudos to the technical team of Bafana Bafana and the group of players. That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to get a positive result to give them the confidence. I can assure you now, for any experienced player who has not been on this team, to rise up and put up their hands that they need to join Bafana Bafana now, it's going to be a very hard, question to ask. They will need to perform above self to try and convince the new technical team that they can be considered for selection. This is a team, if you look at their age group, they have played over in their age groups, starting from young. There's a chemistry in between, from under 20, under 23. They have come a long way. And here comes Hugo Bruce, who has given them the confidence to say, I believe in you. You can play. And if you look at their body language, the way they're applying themselves, they are happy to be together. They're happy to represent the country. And this result can make them dream to go to the World Cup.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, you have a team there, Brighton. Most times in a Bafana Bafana squad, there's a lot of like household names. You know, in
Yeah,
this squad,
yeah,
you'd really have to be paying attention to your local football to know who's who in the zoo. But there's so many talents that have been earmarked, and from clubs that aren't sometimes assumed to be the big three, big four. Just a good mix of players that the coaches seem to get right. Sometimes you have these squads that are picked by consensus and by public feeling,
yeah.
but this one here was just totally, it would seem, on technical merits. And for the most part, Hugo Bruce has got it right.
Yeah, look, with regards to the household names, it's always the case in terms of building the personality around the team, you know? And if you can look at these two games, I mean, Zimbabwe, for when it comes to these opponents, Zimbabwe were the only ones that looked a bit with in terms of the personality. They had a bit of personality. They had those household names that we're talking about, you know? But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is the result. But when we look at how we played, it's still questionable because, to be quite honest, we couldn't even combine that well. The chemistry that we're talking about wasn't there. And I believe that most people would attest to this, to what I'm about to say. So, I mean, if we had our household name players, I think it would have been a walk in the park per se. But without taking any credit away from the boys, they went there and they got what was needed. Because at the end of the day, we can have the household names and still don't grind out the result, you know? So I think credit must go to the boys and congratulations to them. But at the end of the day, I believe that the coach has done well. This is a good start. And if you show faith to the players, they'll grind out the result for you. You understand? So it's a good start. What we can do now, at least, we need to look at playing, start getting the chemistry right, start getting the tactical aspect of things right, and make sure that at least there's a bit of balance. So you're playing for the results and we're playing for, I mean, attractive football. Because at the end of the day, if we get a better opposition than today, or Ghana at their best, I doubt it would be difficult. I mean, we will still have to go play against Ethiopia. We still have Zimbabwe again, who looked very threatening and interesting
Right.
in that game. So, yeah, it's just going to be very interesting how the team moves forward from this result of today and going to the next games.
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, for Zimbabwe, for them against that Ethiopia will be a critical game somewhat. I mean, they're also on the road, so I guess they could go back to the school of thought that a point on the road would be a good return. But if they get a victory there, they're already on the same amount of points as South Africa. They play tomorrow, September the 7th, their game with Ethiopia hosting. They went down by 1-0 against Ghana on Friday. So that was the other results. But then, I know somewhere one of our colleagues, Tim, in Calvin Sosibo, was fixing up to say experience, was going to be, I think it was going to be a buzzword that would have come out had this result not gone our way. But, I think if anything, this game makes a strong case that, sometimes you can have the opportunity. You won't always be afforded it, but you can sometimes give these boys a chance to learn on the job. And, these kind of easier tests under these conditions, I guess, allow them to do exactly that.
Look, most of these lads are playing week in and week out in the PSL and in the various clubs. It's always that opportunity. There's no shop that sells experience in football. As a matter of fact, as you get older, you start being accused of being old and they want to ship you out. So at this moment in time, I think they wanted somebody who can believe in them, and they have found Hugo Bros. From his first press conference, he did indicate that he will be going for the young lads. And now, what you are seeing now, pre-match, you always have, the historical names that these players are not there until they are not present, or until somebody else comes about and then you perform well, just like it has happened now. It's interesting when I'm hearing, Benson saying, they didn't play, some passes together and everything like that. I can tell you, I think Bafana Bafana played over and above themselves, given the opponent. And I can assure you, the more you get the more experienced team with senior players, history has shown that young players who believe in themselves come out on tops. if you look at how the likes of Mokwena were having the ball in the middle of the field, trying to, try and move forward, look for those passes. For me, it was impressive. If you're looking at the core of the team, you look at Rowan, Morena, Kuru, the spine was there. It was shielded. They are willing to attack. As a matter of fact, in this game, Bafana Bafana showed that they needed the 3 points more than the Black Stars. And indeed, they got them. For me, it will be very interesting to see which additions will be made to this Bafana squad and how these players will develop as a rebuilding process proceeds.
Well, let's talk about the players that were there. In terms of performances that stuck out. Obviously, Bonguhle Hlongwane tonight will be remembered for being the goal scorer and quite industrious on that. What was it, the right side or the left side of the whole movement as far as that trident up front is concerned. But some good performances maybe from the likes of Ethan Brooks. We saw him, Toby Mbala, try the spectacular this evening. I wonder what you guys made of him. I touched on that defensive pairing of Rook and Tulu, and maybe speaking about Morbi, a lot of people weren't convinced that he should get another start because it's not his natural position where he was playing. But a coach who wins gets the benefit of the doubt, Brighton, when it comes to these decisions.
Yeah, I think to be quite honest, today the only important factor is that he got the result. But in terms of playing, with regards to the technical side of things, not convinced. Because, like I said, if we get a much organized team, a very attacking side, I think we'll have problems. Because when we look at both games, today at least we managed to record probably like 6 attempts on goal. Against Zimbabwe, we only managed 3 attempts on goals.
Yeah.
You understand? So, and when you look at the goal chances per ratio, the forward passes that we're talking about from the Mukwenas, the success rate, were they effective? I don't think so. You understand? So I feel like all the chances, even the goal that was created, it was from, the opponent's mistakes, so of which credit must be given to the players because you do force your way and try and create your own luck. But from the playing perspective of things, I'm yet to see something that can, apart from Hlongwane today, I don't think we saw much of a evidence. Mahopa, he lost a whole lot of balls. His hold of play was poor. His link-up play with Percy was not there. These are the things that we're looking at tactically. We want to see if we're saying we're moving forward.
Yeah.
Are we getting those combinations? Are we getting the chemistry right? Those are the things that we should be looking at. Credit to the technical team. We're saying now we've assembled the team.
Yeah.
But that team, we should be able to point out and say, is Luther Singh and Percy working out? Is so-and-so combination working out? Those are the things we're talking about. Because there should be at least some continuity in terms of, yes, we've selected a team. But now, what are we doing? We're saying we should give them a chance. We should have the belief in them. We're saying, okay, we have the belief. But now, where are we going? In terms of the identity of the team, the philosophy of the team. Those are the things we're looking at because time is not waiting for anyone. And in terms of how these other teams are playing, I believe that if we have a solid plan going forward and some type of identity, we should top this group with ease. But now, because now we're still trying to find our feet as well, it's going to be somehow difficult.
Yeah, but surely, Tim, we're not going to be a well-oiled machine just yet. These players haven't played often enough with each other. Some will argue that there's, links and ties from playing at younger structures together. But obviously, they have to now play the Hugo Bruce way. And what I took from Hlongwane, especially in this post-game match interview, was that it would seem to me that this coach is keeping things very, very simple. Play to your strengths, play like this. I'll give you simple instructions. Just go out there and execute. I believe in you. It doesn't seem like it's, he's coming with newfangled ways or trying to reinvent the wheel per se. It just seems like sometimes, keeping it simple is the best way to go. And, from a Hlongwane who is more comfortable speaking isiZulu, you would think that, Bruce has got it in his head that, sometimes in Africa, when I'm here, I need to just keep things simple and find a way of bedding in my philosophy in the most simple way. to get results. And it seems like sometimes going straight, works for a coach. And I mean, the squad harmony and the belief seems to be there as well, that these players are buying into the fact that the coach is buying into them.
Look, if you look at the team setup, I was particularly interested in the shape of the team, and that for the greater part of the game it was maintained. There was quite of the energy. You could see that yes, Tau is a crucial part of the team, but you could see moments that he's drifting out of the game because maybe he has not been playing. You could see that when he loses the game, it takes him a few seconds to decide whether to chase on the loose ball and get it back. So those come with time, but the technical team believes in him, and actually his teammates also believe that actually he's part of them, and they were trying to cover him in those moments when he was dropping the ball. But if you look at the whole composition of the team, this is a team that can only grow together and perform well. There is no doubt in my mind that, yes, I know, speaking from experience, South Africans are proud people. You love your football. You appreciate the best. But at the moment, if you look at the team that you have got and the way they have performed, given the opponent today, I think this is a team that can grow in bounds. At this moment, to qualify, you need to grind the results. They went to Harare, they got that 1 point. That 1 point has been the springboard for them to get the 3 points today. So they need to try and play for the result. Playing better, entertaining football comes as the results are positive. These are young players. If they lose a game today, if they had lost the game today, it would be very difficult for them to grow in confidence to try and compete. But this result for now is a very good cushion for them, for this team to gale and be a very good team to reckon with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, to add on to what Tim is saying, obviously, like I said, we shouldn't shy away from the fact that they got a very important result. At the end of the day, hence I said the result for today, I think that's the turning point, because had we not won the game, all these things, they're going to come out. So let's look at it this way, team. I believe that now in football, we need to get to a point where we are critical and honest to ourselves, to a point that let's not point out at the wrongs when results don't go our way. When things go right, let's also try and find a way to improve and see that, okay, this is where we can go. This is the direction we can go. Yes, we got the results. Are we happy with how we play? If we got a better team, tactically, those are the key factors that we need to look at, because now we get the result, but we shouldn't shy away on the tactical aspect of things to say, how are we looking? Are we improving? Are we going somewhere? We're talking about a young squad that can grow together, but the growth cannot be there if there's no direction, there's no perspective, and there's no purpose around it. Because we get, let's say, for argument's sake, we get the next game, Ethiopia better us, they get one up. What are we going to say about that? And the other two results don't go our way. We'll be back at one. And then is that where we're going to start again, pointing out and saying, yeah, but this should have happened, this and that should have. Because at the end of the day, you could see even with the combination plays in terms of positioning, how Morena couldn't combine that well with his right winger. You understand? And of which, with Morena, that's his strength. If he gets good combination play with his right winger, he's more effective. Today, he wasn't effective.
But Brighton, if you could see more often, you could see that whenever Morena had the ball, you could see Tau getting shot, and then you could get the right winger getting shot. But the space was being created for Ronwen to make a run into that in that channel. What was interesting was the turn off Pasitau to try and get where Ronwen was coming from. So for me, the interplay was there. We had the likes of Kulu trying to get that feeding pass into the middle of the park. So they had a purpose why they were not congesting to play in the middle of the park, because they know that the Black Stars are good in that position and their players are quite physically stable. So I could feel that there was the insistence to use the right flank with the likes of Morena more often so that they can't try to drift those the Black Stars in those areas. And their pace was very good. That made the Black Star players to start getting tired. As a matter of fact, as the game was getting into those 80th minute, you could feel that the Black Stars think they've got a result that they needed. And then the Bafana players continued knocking on the door. They persisted until they got that goal. So for me, if I'm looking at the positives of the team, they outweigh the weaknesses. Yes, I saw the likes of Mokwena jumping out of tackles. When you're in those positions of defending, there's no way you can shy away from a tackle. You need to stick it in there for the team because once you jump out of the tackle and then they move forward, you have less cover. Your forward players have already moved forward. So I think those are basics that will come with time. But for me, at the moment in time, with the present team, with the present game that has been played, I would say, it has galvanized this team to try and believe in themselves that they can qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see once, obviously other players, and as the season progresses, I would assume, Brighton, that this will be a mix, the squad of, holdovers of the players who did well in this camp, and then obviously it'll be also based on the form of other players around the time that we need to reconvene for the national team again. So how does what is the challenge now for Hugo Bruce in terms of maintaining a core of a squad, but at the same time not missing out on players in be it domestically or overseas playing well and in a good vein of form, and that could help us, but without disrupting the mix? It's a tricky balancing act.
It's interesting to see how it's going to pan out because when you look at this team, this is the team that went to the COSAFA Challenge. And I think what the good thing about what he did is that he gave the confidence to the players who won the COSAFA to say, look, guys, you've done the job for the nation. You brought the trophy.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do. But bearing in mind that there will be calls for players who are doing well abroad. There'll be calls for players who are doing well in the big three teams. Because if you look at this camp, there is only quite a few Chiefs players. I think no Pirates player. Mm-hmm. So when those are the things that they're going to come. I mean, Tim had mentioned that we are a football loving nation, and that the fans are going to start calling for those names. And especially if it's players that are playing abroad who are doing well, it's going to be a problem. But what we can expect and anticipate is the coach with this big result, he needs to stamp his authority and stick by his guns and say, look, these players have done the job for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to instill my confidence in them and they should continue the pattern.
Well,
I think going forward, this result has answered the rallying calls that would have come from the likes of the fans. Demanding that maybe the senior players can come on board. This result has proven that the players that are present and they are willing to, to believe that they are donning the Bafana Bafana jersey, they can perform. And I started by saying that whichever senior player wants to be part of Bafana Bafana has to perform above expectations to be considered. Because the senior players normally don't have so many years to be considered to play for the national team. So these are young players who are seeming to be getting well and they are getting the result. So there is no justification for the fans to demand for a senior player to be in the team when the replacement is performing even for the future.
Yeah.
So that's sorry to interject there. In terms of that, now there's other factors that are going to come in, right? We're looking at, yes, for instance, I'll be critical when it comes to Evidence Mahopa. The 2 games, was he effective enough? And we're saying, I don't think it was good enough, especially for a team, for a nation that's so blessed with creativity. It has abundance of talent in terms of creativity, skill, and everything. We look at the players that were not in the squad who are creative. We still have, so to speak, we still have the likes of your Tembinkosi Lodges. We still have your Kemi Erasmus.
But Brighton.
I'm still talking stats. I'm talking stats, right?
Yes.
Let's talk Zimbabwe game, whereby we only registered 3 attempts on goal by our standard. And we were lucky to escape that game with a point. So
but
we
Brighton,
get a better opponent.
Your standard has not qualified for the AFCON.
No,
not qualified for anything.
No, we're not talking.
Brighton, I want to make it clear.
We're not bringing up the past and so forth.
I'm dealing with
the current. Yes. All I'm saying is, are we effective enough? Are we effective enough? Those are the positives. Those are the things that I'm talking about when it comes to the tactical aspect of things. Were we effective enough in front of goals? Are we creating more chances that are going to threaten? Like I said, if we're playing a well-organized team, can we break them down? We couldn't break down Zimbabwe for all that matters. So that should be a worrying factor as well. Those are things we need to look at. We got the result here.
Zimbabwe is not a weak team.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We couldn't break them.
That's what I'm saying. It means there's something good that they did. Remember, Bafana Bafana was away from home. They were in a hurry. And they were able to make sure that they grind a result.
In their first official game, pretty much.
Which is a 0-0 result.
Yeah.
Now, from a 0-0 result, they come back home and pick up 3 points. Now, if I'm hearing correctly, you're mentioning names of players that have not been there, but we believe they are good players. Now, I can guarantee you that they are good at club level at this moment in time. They have missed being part of this squad team that has won today. So when they are called upon, they'll need to perform and convince the technical team that they can perform as they are performing at the club level, which is not easy. So yes, the coach has still got a pool of players to choose from. But I'm saying players today have justified being called upon to the national team. Now, if you're outside this group of players today...
However, some, they're going to be questionable. I can guarantee you now, especially in the striking department with evidence, he's been doing well. Don't get me wrong. This boy did well. He came from a good season with Baroka, and then he did well when he was called up his first maiden cap, and then going to the Olympics as well, he did well. But the past 2 games, hence I said to you, don't get me wrong. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to take any credit away from the boys. They got the result. They did well.
Yeah.
But my question is, are we going to go back to the same mistake whereby when we get the results, we turn a blind eye? Or we can still point out the negatives. Good people and a good team can always find mistakes within a good result. That's how we grow. That's how we grow. So all I'm saying is, yes, let's take the good results. Let's celebrate that. But in order for us to improve, we're saying we're building this team. In order for us to improve, let's not wait for disaster to strike before we can point out the problem. Right now, in front of goals, we're not effective. Let's be honest. Hence, I said, we are blessed in abundance when it comes to talent, skill, creativity. Therefore, national team, when it comes to that, we can't be compromising and saying, yeah, we'll come all right. No, we need players who are going to pick up and get on it. Songwane, he came on as a sub against Zimbabwe. He did well. He showed that he deserves to start. He came on today. He gave us the result. So we cannot keep on going on and saying, but we're not registering any attempts. We're not creating any goals, but we'll wait for it to come. That's the point of concern that we need to focus on. So we shouldn't run away from the truth.
Okay. I mean, I hear what you're saying, right? And there's room for improvement and we shouldn't get complacent. And that maybe, Tim, what he's saying is that, at this level where we are looking for good results, yes, we've kind of taken evidence on the back of a good season, good Olympics, but maybe after this 2 games, his chance is up because that's maybe the ruthless nature of being at such a high level. Now, I think maybe where you and I might agree, Tim, is that, do you pull him out of this situation when maybe that game number 3 is the one that he comes alive and he does his thing? Or do you go with someone completely new and bring that into the group? And then that person has to start with game 1, game 2, maybe to get to game 3. So there is that risk.
We took Luther out. No, we took Luther Singh out.
Yeah, but and then we gave evidence another chance. So we say now...
You see what is happening? What is happening is the national team, the coach has got a pool of players. So with the evidence that has been showed now in the 2 games, I'm sure they have a few names on their list that they can add onto the group. Now, there are some characteristics they're going to be looking for. They're going to looking for, is this player, he may be good enough, but he may not be able to cope with the rest of the group. He may be left out because of that. You're looking for a player who may not score so many goals, but is willing to harass the defenders to get those the spaces for the likes of Tau, Veltranas. So there's so much combination play that is required for a technical team to consider. In that, the fact that you are good as a player may not translate into playing for the team, hence not being considered for selection. All those things are missing into the analysis of fans not understanding. So that's what I'm saying. If you look at the players that have played today, they have got a history that they have played together for some time, through their youth ranks.
No, I beg to differ on that one thing. I beg to differ on that one because we're talking about different levels, and these players that we're saying they played together at the youth level, we're talking about, say, under 20, they played, it was one camp or 2 games, you understand? And already, if we're basing that on saying the criteria should be, is this player going to fit in? How do we already know within 2 official games that now this is our core team, whereby whoever's outside, we need to test them within that's inside?
I think that's still going to happen. That's still going to happen.
A lot is still going to happen. This is the second camp. A whole lot is going to happen.
Brighton, what you should understand is that a coach or a technical team, they have got a clear view of who may be in their squad. So when they summon these players to come in camp, they always have a sketch of the players to use and how to set up their team. Now, once that team is selected and they seem to be getting together, most technical team doesn't divert so much from that. They just get a few additions, forced substitutions, everything like that. So that's why I started by saying that players that are missing on this core group that has got the 4 points now, they will need to perform above self to try and convince the technical team to bring them in, to believe that they can add value to this squad. That's the bottom line. I'm not saying there's a criteria that is being used. What I'm saying is the players in camp have got an added advantage. They have already convinced the technical team that they can be trusted. And the technical team can back on that they can trust them. Now, you to be selected, you need to perform above self of those current players. That my experience has showed that. Even if you are playing in Europe, you remember, once you are someone, first of all, you need to appear in camp early. You need to do the drills early to convince that, yes, you're coming from Europe, but you've got the right attitude to compete. If you cannot offer that, I'm telling you, these boys will keep you on the bench or out of the team.
There we go. So it might be an attitude thing. And I like that because that's very important. It means whatever coach is in charge, he's looking for the right kind of temperament for you to be part of his winning team. Gents, to that point very quickly, and referencing what was a good article by Neville Koza from the Sowetan. It's titled, Kadodia Feels Agents Putting Payday Before Players' Interests. So, basically, in a sense, Farouk Kadodia coming out and saying that Sipa Sitendlovu and the likes of who have moved on, past the clubs where they kind of got their start and maybe were developing and very early on get a move to a bigger club where that development 90% of the time, unfortunately, tends to be stifled. As former professionals or as a former professional, Tim, have you ever been in that situation where an agent was advising you to go somewhere where you maybe felt was a bit premature? Were you ever in that situation?
Look, agents are hired or employed to represent you. So they put your interest at heart. So many clubs will approach them for various services. So whatever approach is made toward for your services, definitely the agent will come and speak to you, and in a way will try to tell you this is a good deal for you. It is the right time to do this, but it's money involved. Sometimes you may not believe that you can get another chance to get the likes of Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, Sundowns to come for you. So it's very imperative in this moment in time. You are the client. You must understand what you are putting yourself into. You should be able to have a friendly personal relationship with your agent so that you can air out your views and discuss these matters. I always consult for some players, and I'll tell them, listen, if you are playing week in out and they are giving you almost equivalent what they're gonna get in the big team, you'd rather play 1 or 2 more seasons in this team. They will still come back to you if you are still good enough.
Right.
And 2, consider the teammate that you're gonna compete with in the big team, because he already has an advantage. He has already competed there. There's a belief in the technical team. They believe he's a good player already there. He's got the fans backing him to be always on the team. And you're just new coming in. Consider yourself. Honestly analyze yourself. If you're going to compete with Timothy Batabaira playing as a central defender, Brighton as a goalkeeper, what are your chances that when you join, you immediately have to play? And if you are not going to play immediately, how patient are you going to work for your chance to, to play? But agents will always try to push for that best, deal for you.
Right.
It's a business. They have to pay the bills. They have to pay everything like that.
Yeah.
They are paid by the club, by the players. Both entities, they get a remuneration. So it's business for both sides, and definitely will push for that.
Okay, and then, I mean, Brighton, is it a case maybe of the mandate changing from the players, or players sometimes saying, give me the bigger payday, and sometimes not understanding that means that might stand in the way of their development? Or do you find most times that a lot of players are saying, listen to their agents, I want to play, find me someone who's going to pay me the most to be playing week in, week out? What is the mandate from players to their agents?
Yeah, look, firstly, I agree with Tim. I like what he said when he mentioned that agents are hired by the player, you understand? And the main important thing here is that the player has a say, irrespective of what. I mean, especially when you get to a specific situation, he had an opportunity to join Mamelodi Sundowns, if we can recall, and he opted to choose, he declined Mamelodi Sundowns and he opted to choose Orlando Pirates. So I think one thing that we shouldn't shy away from is to know that, look at this, financial status is very important for the players in South Africa, you know? They get to a point where everyone is like, as long as I get money, as long as I get that financial status as well, and playing for a big team, irrespective of who I'm going to compete with, is very important. So I think the mandate is more financially and about the status as opposed to thinking about play, you know. So those are the things that we need to look at.
Okay, cool. Gents, thank you very much, man. It was an interesting chat. I think, towards this last part about the players, I think we're seeing with evidence, Ronwen, stay at the clubs where you get to play week in, week out and develop, and maybe Bafana Bafana will be the ones who benefit the most. Time is up. That's all we have for this week. Please stay tuned to all the socials, Front Sports, and all the platforms that will give you all the latest news. Brighton, Tim, thank you so much for your time. Take care.